Hi there, my name's Kathy Barker from Software Solutions, and I've been teaching software programs for a very long time, nearly 40 years. And one of the programs I've been teaching commercially since it first was released was Microsoft Project. Now, one of the things I stress to my clients when I'm teaching Microsoft Project is they really do need to create templates. Templates are massive time savers. They save time and they ensure consistency in all your project plans. So I want to dedicate this collection of videos to actually how do we create a Microsoft Project template for a standard calendar. I have created a different video collection for how to create a project template for a 24-hour calendar, but this is dedicated to a standard calendar. So join me on this journey as I show you how to create a template and save you massive amounts of time in Microsoft Project. Step one when you're creating a Microsoft Project template is to basically go into project and go into project information. And in here we can say what date and time we want to start. Now for some of you the time may not show. If that's the case, let me just back out of here and go into File and go into Options. Because when I go to File and Options, I can choose a date format. And I've chosen the very first date format because it includes a time. That way I can say not only what date this project is going to start, but what time this project is going to start. And I know that the date and the time is very organic and can change, but we do need to set it to something. So I'm going to go for this format and OK. I'll return to project and project information. And let's say that we're going to start this coming Monday. So I'm going to go for the 22nd of May. You work with whatever coming Monday is for you. Now this particular project, I want to work with a standard calendar, this particular project template, and I'm going to go with the scenario of 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's my calendar. So I really need to start the coming Monday at 6 a.m. and that's why I needed a date format that included a time, so I could say not only what day I was going to start but what time I was going to start. So we're going to start at 6 a.m. Now it is a project start date schedule from option, which means that I can say when the project's going to start, but I can't say when the project's going to finish, and that's fine. Projects that are start date driven are a lot more easier to manage, so definitely I would recommend a start date driven project and just set a date at a time. Do set that to the time you're going to start. So if your calendar is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., make sure that time's correct. And I'm going to keep it with the standard calendar. Now the standard calendar is Monday to Friday, 8 till 5, but we're going to customize that, so don't worry about that. Let's go OK. So this particular example in this particular video, I'm going to go with the scenario of a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. calendar. That was step one. Step two. Step two is to set up the file properties. So what I'd like to do here is go to File in the ribbon and go to Info on the left-hand side. And this heading here, Project Information, isn't actually a heading, it's actually a button. Click Project Information and choose Advanced Properties. Now it's in here we put generic information like the company. This particular company is Mad About Maintenance Limited. You put your company name. The author is myself and the manager is myself. You put your details. The subject, completely up to you. I'm just going to go residential. And let's go with the construction scenario. So I'm just going to go here and say construction template, 12-hour template. And I'll go OK. So that's your step two. And then I'll go back and I'm back to my Microsoft project. Step two, come back for step three. Step three, the most important step of all, and this is your project calendar. Now your project calendar is looking at the project as a whole. What is the earliest start time and the latest finish time that any particular task will be conducted with regards to this project? In this particular template, I'm going to say that tasks start no earlier than 6 a.m. in the morning and finish no later than 6 p.m. at night. Of course, there may be exceptions, but we're just thinking as the general rule. So to set up my project calendar, I'm going to go to project and I'm going to go to change working time. Now in an earlier step, project and project information, we chose the standard calendar. This is now reiterated at the top here that the project calendar is a standard calendar because we chose it in project information. Now here I can tell, looking at this information and this information in this legend, that a standard calendar by default is Monday to Friday are working days, hence they show as white. Saturday and Sunday, according to the legend, are grey, so they're non-working days. Now, any particular working day that I click on, it tells me on the right-hand side that a standard calendar is 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., an hour for lunch, and then 1 till 5. That's fine. I want to change it. I want to change the details regarding what a work week looks like. So I'm going to go to work weeks and I'm going to go to details on the right hand side to change the details about what a work week looks like. This particular template, I want to say they work Monday to Friday. So I'm literally just dragging down. I'm not holding the shift key. I'm not holding the control key. I'm just dragging down. I want to set these days to specific working time. So I choose this third option. I don't want to start at 8, I want to start at 6. So I take out the 8 and I just put a 6. My recommendation is don't wipe it out completely. Customize whatever details already there because you've got to follow that format. Some organizations have their time set up in a 24-hour format, so you would have to follow the 24-hour format. Mine is a 12-hour format, and so I'm just going to stick with it exactly how it is here. Otherwise, you'll find it beeps and farts and carries on and doesn't like it, in which case you then have to cancel and try again. So definitely stick with the format that's there. Excuse me. I want to go from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I'm going to take out the 12, put in a 6 and accept the PM. So I'm not going to worry about lunch breaks, morning teas, afternoon teas, too much work. I just really want to say this project as a whole starts at 6 in the morning, finishes at 6 at night, which means that row 2 is actually redundant. I'm going to click on the 2 for row 2, which selects the entire row, and simply press the delete key on my keyboard. And so I've gone for 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. If I click OK, now if I look here, I can see 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And if I click on any working day, Monday to Friday, that's where it thinks I start and finish. Now the trap for young players is that whatever you do in this change working time screen must then be corroborated with what's going on in the options button. So down here, click your options button, and whatever's in here has got to balance with whatever's going on out here. I know, strange. So we have to start at 6 a.m. We have to finish at 6 p.m. We therefore are working a 12-hour day. I'm just going to type that in. And as far as a week goes, well, we're working a 60-hour week, 12 times 5. Don't worry about the days per month. Don't need to change that. And if you're not starting, if your week is not starting on a Monday, you may want to change that. But for this particular project called Project 1 at this very point in time, these are the calendar options for Project 1. And that's why this has to cooperate with what's going on in here. They have to balance. So make sure that that's the case. Check the default start, default end, hours per day, hours per week, and the week starts on. Then I'm going to go OK, and that's that done. And if I go OK again, I've set up my work week calendar. Now, some of you like to account for public holidays. So if that's the case, go back into project and change working time. The next holiday, let's say that we've got coming up is June maybe. In June, we've got King's birthday. So what I'm going to do, and of course there's more than one way to do this, this is just the way I like to do it, is I'm going to scroll down to June, I'm going to click on the 5th, and that way I can just visually check it's a Monday. Now, Monday the 5th of June is King's birthday, so that's considered an exception. So this is when we use the exceptions tab, and I give it a name, King's birthday. Now, as soon as I press enter, it pulls through the 5th of June, the 5th of June. So that's why I like to click on the date. Let's do another one. So in July, for example, the 17th of July, we've got Matariki. I click on Monday, the 17th of July. I click under King's birthday and I put Matariki. When I press enter, it naturally pulls through those dates. Continue to put in any exceptions, any public holidays for not necessarily just the rest of the year. Consider maybe putting in the public holidays for the next 5 years. That way, this template will be good for you for the next 5 years because it'll already have the public holidays in it, and you don't have to set those up every time you do a project. So continue down that process and add more public holidays. So as you can see here, I've added in a few public holidays. So consider that as well. Now, if I click OK, what we have here on our screen is on the right-hand side, we have the Gantt chart. So I'm expecting that if I was to scroll to the right, I would see that the 5th of June was King's birthday. But I would expect to see that as a vertical grey bar because a vertical grey bar is a non-working day, and I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing that it's still working. Sometimes project, and I think this is because it's sometimes a cloud issue, you have to type something. So I'm just going to put paint, for example. Now, as soon as I type something and press enter, I see my Gantt charts woken up. Monday, the 5th of June is now showing as a grey vertical bar. So that is a public holiday. And as I scroll to the right and look at Matariki on the 17th of July, I can see that's also showing as a public holiday. So do have a quick little squiz and just see that your public holidays are pulling through. Now, exceptions are not only public holidays and non-working day. An exception can be a working day. So let's say that things are tight and I really do need to work this Saturday here. I need to work the Saturday, the 3rd of June. In which case, if you have an exception in terms of a working day, go into change working time. Let's go to the 3rd of June, that Saturday there, which is currently non-working. Let's go down our list and just click here. And I'm just going to put workday, WD. So you can come up with your own sort of terminology. So there it pulls through the 3rd of June, but then I'll go into the details about that exception. Now, by default, exceptions are non-working, but I could say this exception is actually working. And I'm not going to ask them to work from 8 till 12 and 1 to 5, which is the defaults. I'm going to ask them to work from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. But you could put whatever times you wanted. It might be just a half day. And then I'll select row 2 and I'll just delete it. So exceptions can be non-working or working. And they can be added, not necessarily at the time of the template, they can be added when you actually got a live project running. Now, also with regards to exceptions, public holidays or working, they could be recurring. This is quite good for some of the public holidays that recur on a same date every year. You could actually say it's recurring weekly, or it's recurring monthly, or it's recurring yearly, and you could make it end after so many occurrences or end after a certain date, which might be in 5 years' time. So think of the case of Christmas, the 25th of December, for example. You could actually get into the details of that and say that it's non-working, it recurs yearly, every year on the 25th of December. Let me just go okay to this exception here. I'm going to go okay to that. Let me go to Christmas. Let me go to details. I'm going to say that Christmas is non-working, but it happens yearly and it happens every 25th of December. And I want this template to last for 5 years, so I'm going to end after 5 occurrences. And so if I go okay, then I've actually created a recurring exception non-working day. If I go okay here, notice now that I'm actually working that Saturday, the 3rd of June. That's the exception I set up. And if I go across here to the 25th of December, you'll see that that's Christmas Day. And so it'll be marked as non-working. Keep going. Yeah. But if I continue scrolling to the right, you'll see that for 2024, it's also marked Christmas Day. And for 2025, also marked Christmas Day. So set up your calendar. Really important that you spend a good amount of time setting up this calendar so that you're going to save time moving forward. Now, while we're on the topic of calendar, it's also important to address your time scale. That is the name of this part of your Gantt chart here. So the vertical grey bars are non-working days, and this up the top here is called a time scale. Doesn't matter what project you're working on, one thing I do to absolutely all projects is double click the time scale and change it from 100% to 50%. Of course, the level of percentage may vary, but I always reduce this. And why do I reduce this? Is because now I'll be able to see twice as much on my screen, less scrolling as I had to do a moment ago, and I'll be able to print twice as much on a page, which is brilliant. So I'm going to go OK. I can still quite clearly see Monday to Sunday, but look how much more I can actually see on my screen. I can see Waitangi Day, I can see Matariki, I can see Christmas Day. It makes it a lot easier to see more on your screen. But I go further than just reducing the magnification. Myself, I actually have a favorite, and that is instead of 2 tiers in my timescale, I like to see 3 tiers. So I'm going to double click again. If I double click, I'm able to change this option here from 2 tiers to 3 tiers. And the preview shows you 3 tiers. Now the bottom tier, let's just go here. The bottom tier, I like to keep that as days, 1 day at a time. That's why the count's on 1. And I'm happy that they're labeled MTW, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The middle tier, I'm also happy that that's weeks, and again, 1 week at a time, but I do like that to align to the center. So as I choose center, you can see that that second tier, the middle tier, is now got the date centered. And as far as the top tier, I also like to see weeks that are centered, but I like them to be labeled differently. So that's where I go for my label and I say, look, I like to see week 1, week 2 from start. And so that's actually going to tell me what week I'm in the project. If I go OK, I see 3 tiers at the top now, and I can see I'm in week 1. I also do, for some projects, put stuff in week -1, -2, -3, leading up to the actual project itself, which starts in week 1. So seriously consider double-clicking this timescale and setting up maybe 3 tiers and what you would like to see in the top, the middle, and the bottom tier. Now, some people also like to set the non-working time not as a grey bar, or maybe they like to see a different colour. You can change the colour in here of your non-working time, and you can choose the pattern as well. And if I go OK, I've actually affected my non-working. But if I go undo, I can undo that. So you have an undo button up here in what we call the quick access toolbar. You have 20 levels of undo. Personally, I find that that's not enough. If I do something bad, it's usually really bad. And so I go into file and I go into options, and under advanced, I set the number of undo levels to 99. That's the maximum I can have. So also consider whether you need to increase it from 20. Okay, so that is our time scale, and I would actually not use this zoom slider at the bottom here anymore, because by using the zoom slider, you're going to muck up the time scale. If you want to increase or decrease your magnification, double click your time scale and simply increase it or decrease it with this percentage here. No longer use this slider here. In fact, what I sometimes do is right click down here, turn off the zoom slider, and then people aren't tempted to even use it. So now what I want to do is I want to save this as a template. I know we've got lots more to add to our template, but I don't want to wait until I completely finish and then save it and possibly lose everything. So to save this as a template, I'm going to go to File, Save As. Now, Save As is something we do on a regular basis, and I actually find it quite tedious to go into File, Save As. So I'm going to back up a little bit. This quick access toolbar where I was just talking about the undo button, if you click this button, you can turn on the option Save As, and I do turn that on. So now whenever I need to save this project as version 1, version 2, or whatever, I've got this cute little button here where I can just click it, and I then get the Save As dialog box instead of going File, Save As, Browse, and a lot of faffing around. I want to save this project not as a project, so the save as type has to be changed. I'm going to click this drop down and I'm going to choose the third option. Be very careful not to choose the second option. I wish they'd get rid of the second option. 2007 was a long time ago. But project template is an MPT file, and really project template is the option you want to choose. You may not see the MPT, that's just what I've got set up in my machine, but project template is what you want to choose. When you choose project template, then you choose the location you want to store your template. And of course, that's going to depend on your organization, but just for simplicity today, I'm going to save it to my desktop. As far as naming the template, again, decide what you want to do, but I personally like to go M/F, which means this is a Monday to Friday, 6A/6P. This is a Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. template. That way I can have a Monday to Friday 7A to 7P, a Monday, Friday 9 till 5P. I can have different types of templates for different types of projects, and I need this to be quite descriptive. So I'm saving it to my desktop as a project template called that, and I go save. Now it's going to ask me, do you also want to include in your template some resource rates and fixed costs? We haven't even got there yet. So just click save for where we're at now. So just out of curiosity, how do we actually use our template? Well, let's just close the template, file close. And if I rocked in, say, the next day and I wanted to create a new project plan using my template, all you've got to do is go file open. When you go file open under the banner of today, I can see my Monday to Friday 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. template. Now, what's a useful thing is if you actually have a number of templates that you use on a regular basis, is to make use of this pin. When you click this pin, the file will move up into the pinned category, and that means that it'll never drop off this list. It'll be permanently pinned at the top of the list and easy for you to find. So if I want to create a project plan using my Monday to Friday 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. template, I simply click this template. And notice at the top that it says project 2. So it's not actually opening the template file, it's creating a project based on your template, and that's how the template remains protected. But I'm going to turn around and save this as my Monday to Friday. Let's first of all choose the desktop, change it from project to project template, and choose Monday to Friday 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. template and save. And yes, I want to overwrite it and save as well. The reason I want to keep this open is I've got more stuff that I want to add to our template. Now practice what you've learnt, absorb what we've covered, and I'll see you in the next video.